Introduction. Hello and welcome back to my channel, where today we are diving into a classic piece of literature, The Birth of Tragedy, Out of the Spirit of Music, by Friedrich Nietzsche. This book, first published in 1872, explores the origins of Greek tragedy and the role that music played in its development. It is considered one of Nietzsche's most influential works, and today, we will be reviewing and discussing its key themes and ideas. Chapter 1. Introducing the author. Before we dive into the book itself, let's take a moment to talk about the author. Friedrich Nietzsche was a German philosopher, cultural critic, and poet who lived from 1844 to 1900. He is known for his ideas about the nature of humanity, morality, and the meaning of life. He wrote extensively on these subjects, and The Birth of Tragedy is considered one of his most important works. Chapter 2. Overview of the book. The Birth of Tragedy is divided into two main parts. In the first part, Nietzsche examines the origins of Greek tragedy and argues that it emerged out of the spirit of music. He believes that the Greek gods were essentially musical figures and that the creation of tragedy was a way for the Greeks to honor and worship these gods. In the second part of the book, Nietzsche examines the decline of tragedy and argues that this decline was due to the influence of Socrates and the rise of rationalism. He believes that the emphasis on reason and logic led to the suppression of the irrational and emotional aspects of human nature, which were essential to the creation of tragedy. Chapter 3. Key themes and ideas. Now let's take a closer look at some of the key themes and ideas in the book. The Apollonian and Dionysian. Nietzsche believes that there are two fundamental forces at work in the world: the Apollonian and the Dionysian. The Apollonian represents order, reason, and rationality, while the Dionysian represents chaos, passion, and emotion. Nietzsche believes that tragedy is created when these two forces come together in a harmonious way. The death of God. Nietzsche famously declared that God is dead in his later works, but this theme can be seen in The Birth of Tragedy as well. Nietzsche argues that the decline of tragedy is related to the decline of traditional religious beliefs, which provided a framework for understanding and coping with the world. The will to power. Another key theme in Nietzsche's philosophy is the idea of the will to power. He believes that all human beings have a fundamental drive to exert their will over others and over the world around them. This idea is present in The Birth of Tragedy, as well, as Nietzsche argues that the creation of tragedy was a way for the Greeks to assert their will over the chaotic and irrational forces of nature. Chapter 4. Analysis and review. So, what do we think of The Birth of Tragedy as a whole? Overall, I found the book to be a fascinating exploration of the origins and decline of Greek tragedy, as well as an interesting window into Nietzsche's broader philosophy. I appreciated the way that Nietzsche brought together ideas from art, religion, and philosophy to create a cohesive and compelling argument. One criticism that some might have of the book is that it can be quite dense and difficult to read at times. Nietzsche's writing style is often abstract and esoteric, which can make it hard to follow his train of thought. However, I would argue that this is also part of the book's charm. It is not meant to be an easy read, but rather a challenging and thought-provoking